So what was it? We're talking movies from the 80s.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Burhan and the Boy. I, of course, am Michael Burhan, who is the Burhan portion of it, and also we have the boy, who's Mr. Dave Wade.
I like the side of fries.
Yeah, Law Boys Post 1975, folks. So, Dave, what have you been up to today?
Sleeping mostly, playing with Rat Boy. For those of you out there, that's not a euphemism for my penis. It's a dog, little mini Yorkie, awesome. And I'll let you on a little secret. Rat Boy's actually called Bubbles, but I prefer to call her Rat Boy because she looks like a rat and a boy. Odd, I know. Oh, and I've been playing a lot of Mega Drive games recently. Got massively back into a Mega Drive. Not that I ever fell out of love with it, you understand, but I'm going through a weird. I want to recomplete every Mega Drive game I am.
I've basically been doing the MCM Comic Con. It's, oh god, the amount of time it took to do this, because I imagine doing, say, like 16 interviews and then taking all that footage home, editing all the footage, rendering all the footage.
So what you
uploading all the
basically did
footage.
was you wrote the theme tune, you sang the theme tune.
Yeah, pretty much. It was fun, loads and loads of fun, guys. But the thing that people don't understand, and I want to put this like out there, people think that doing interviews and stuff is easy. It is not easy, especially if you're going from my perspective. Most people like write their questions down. I tend to do it from the top of my head, so I'll basically sit on the laptop the night before, check out who I need to interview, read up on them, do everything I need to do to basically, be prepared. Then I'll go in and I'll ask them the questions that I need to ask because I know everything about them. I've got an eidetic memory, so it makes things a lot easier for me. It's the great way because I can literally just not even have to like once I get off script, I'm off script. It's kind of an actor's thing. It's really, really cool. So it's very easy for me to
Ad
find out.
lib.
It's a very active brain.
No, I said ad lib.
That too, yeah, and a lot of improv as well. But the problem is the amount of energy that you need to do this. You have to be always like about like a million times of yourself because I'm a very anxious person. I have anxiety issues. I don't like leaving the house, but to get to that level, I have to put myself at that level and stay at that level for a whole entire day. And it's great, I managed to get loads of great interviews with guys like Gideon Emery, John Noble, which Dave knows from Fringe.
And lots of sexy biscuits from me.
Yeah, and tons
Thank
of
you
sexy
very
biscuits.
much, by the way, for that. Thank you very much.
No problem. They had the people.
I just like the
organising
fact
it.
that when people said it, they just had this confused look on their face. And even one of them said it, which is, what does that even mean?
Yeah, that was Kelly
Yeah.
Teagan. Which it's one of those things where you come out of it and you're like, okay, that was great fun, but also I was up for 2 nights straight editing all this footage and getting it uploaded. It's a nightmare when you're on a broadband connection and you're not using fiber, because
I know your pain, yeah.
to upload something which is like 10 minutes, it would take me an hour to upload the fucking thing. To upload something which is like 20 minutes, it takes 2 hours. It's a straddled connection at the moment where I'm currently at, so it doesn't help.
That's why Handbrake is your best friend.
Yeah, well, I try not to condense the footage because it makes it look really grainy. Because I had to compress it a little bit, and I'm not very happy when I have to compress footage. But I got a lot of great interviews out there. John was one of them. I asked him about like the one thing that I never got understood, and and I'm going to point this out there to people. There's a difference between a press person, like someone who has charisma, who has a presence, and a person who just wants to ask questions and sounds like a dried bit of toilet paper.
Well, that's just it, though, isn't it? It's personality over statistics. In the sense is you can know how to do a job, but if you don't, if you don't have the personality to do it, then you just become that boring, sterile person who's just, I want to ask you about this, and then just rattle off. Basically, you're the person who reads Wikipedia.
Yeah, and a lot of it is like guys were asking questions to a lot of actors about their shows and stuff, and a lot of them, I was getting a lot of heat. It's a wrestling term with heat. Is basically there's good heat and bad heat. I was getting bad heat because I was asking him loads of questions about
My back
acting.
is sore. I use deep heat. Sorry.
Well, I was getting a lot of like heat for asking these guys questions about acting and process, and not staying on topic, because a lot of these guys were like talking about, oh, you were on this show, what about your time on this show? And you were on this show. What about your time on this show? And they were geeking out. And for me, I was just like, tell me about your process. What have you been doing?
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you just become, which I'm sure they get bored of. No, I'm not saying they're not appreciative, but just to answer the same 10 questions every time, which is, you're this bloke from the telly. Yes, I am.
But
Like you said. Whereas
yeah.
as opposed to saying, how did you get into this, and what is your process for getting involved in your character, etc., etc.
But that was a good thing about it as well. And Anita Kasky, who was there with me, had tons of fun because that's what we did. We talked to them. And it was like the great thing. You could tell how appreciative they were because they were telling stories. Like Gideon, for example, me and him just gelled. We just sat there. If you watch back the videos of myself and Gideon Emery, we both just sat there and it was like we're having a conversation in a pub. Just literally just the two of us like having so much fun and just chatting away. With John Noble and Anina, the same thing. Anina got the look like Drew. Oh my God, Drew from Falling Skies. He basically gave Anina this up and down look, like you're hot. Yeah, I think you're. And especially because she had the English accent as well, you could tell that he was just like checking her out. It was so funny. But it was a great time. I had an amazing experience, and the thing about it is, it's one thing I have to give a great thank you to Stephen Richards for helping me get the press pass sorted out. A big thank you to Gary and Dave, the guys who organised the event as well, for allowing me to come onto the event itself. There were a few hiccups. I'm not going to say it all ran smoothly, and I do apologise to anyone that I've offended because I was being very pushy and as one of the people who organised it said to me is, you every time you walk into a room, the attention has to be on you. I was like, does it? She's like, yeah, the attention has to be on you because you have that presence where everyone has to basically look at you. I'm like, it's not my fault. Apparently that's what I do, and I don't know if it's an actor's trait or if it's something to do with me, but it is what I am. So I apologise to anyone behind that event for that as well. But it was a great event. I enjoyed it. Again, I had a lot of hiccups, but I managed to get a lot of great footage. So if you want to take a look at it, guys, go to youtube.com/RetroUnlim. That's Mr. Stephen Richards' channel. It's the channel for the Retro Unlim site. All the footage, all the interviews are there. And also go to my channel, which I'll give you at the end of the show, to check out some of my videos. I did this little comedy video where I just asked people, if you basically had a superpower, what would your superpower be? So let me ask you that, Dave. What would your superpower be if you could have a superpower?
The ability to generate money. Boring, I know, but basically it's the tool to unlock everything.
I agree with you on that, and this is what people don't
That's
get
good.
sometimes. Hey, Kev.
Yeah.
Hello, mate.
Kev Elsdon, ladies and gentlemen. He's on Kev, where do we know you from?
Retro on Limb, YouTube, Facebook, and I met you in Blackpool the other week, which was meant.
Yeah, Play Blackpool was a funny one because that was another one where I covered the entire press for that event and I was dead by the time I got home.
Lucas said, my friend, it's your best friend.
It wasn't just that, I was poisoned by the cafeteria.
Oh, that's right. The dodgy chicken.
Well, we did have a great time on the Friday.
We did. I have to admit, we got some great footage and stuff, apart from the audio fuck up. So, but it was great. I managed to grab an interview with the Oliver twins as well, and grab all that stuff.
Such nice blokes.
They finish each other's sentences. It's hilarious.
They are basically the same person, aren't they?
They literally are. It's like one would go on for the other, and then when the other one finishes, the other one would go on. It was great.
It was very, very refreshing, though, just as like the fact that they're still so. You can tell why they were so successful back in the day and still are, because they're just so energetic and excited about what they do.
I wonder if they do have an off switch, because it's like, as I was saying,
I like
myself,
to think they're like Borg, and at night, like Seven from Voyager, at night they just plug themselves into the wall
and recharge
for the next day.
The one interesting thing I would have to point out as well from that event and also from MCM, the one thing that I would what I'm going to kind of pick apart a little bit, because I want to talk about a video that Magus did, Magus XL.
Quickly though, to those out there who don't know who the Oliver twins are, they were British game developers back in the 80s. But yeah, for Codemasters, which they sold to, was it to Infogrames? But That's by the way. But what's the statistic, which is absolutely mind blowing for 1 year in the 80s?
85%, I think it was, of the games that were actually produced were by the Oliver twins.
That's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
They
You're
literally
you're doing
had-
something right when you can put that statistic on your CV.
Well, they had basically the entire British gaming market, and we talked
Didn't
about
they
this.
have 5 games in the top 10 at once?
Yeah, and we talked about this last week because the gaming market became something rather different because of them. You know, it became the British gaming industry basically had its hand in the entire pie.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
they made people raise their game because they were like, look, we're a budget company. You can buy our games for $1.99, but they're of good quality. So people like, US Gold in particular, stop putting out shit for £14 when we're putting out superior products at £2.
Yeah, and that was the thing as well. They actually did this for a living. Their dad was like impressed because these two little kids started making games in their basement, or not in their basement, in their house.
In their
And-
bedroom.
Yeah, and then they basically
Sorry, that sounded really sinister when I said it like that.
they finished school and they started doing it as a career. It's amazing the
Well,
amount
that's
of
most of the
Yeah.
gaming community anyway. That's
Yeah.
how most of the biggest names started anyway.
That's why the Spectrum was brilliant.
But I do want to point out something as well, and I kind of want to throw this out there to Kev. Anthony Fernandez, aka Megasex1. If you go to youtube.com Megasex1, you can check out his channel. I'll leave it a kind of a little thing in the description below, as long as Kev's channel as well, because I think Kev is so fucking underrated. He needs actually, more subscribers on his
You
channel.
need a
because-
stall, like in St. Peter's Market downtown, where you can flog your pixel art because it's brilliant.
I need to bring that back. I got very
Sidetracked.
overdone doing them at one point.
I'm not surprised when I watched it when you speeded up the footage. For those who don't know, but Gav did this brilliant series where he'd asked people from the gaming community would they like a Pearl or B representation of a 16-bit or 8-bit character or icon from a game, and then you got to see him make it. And I think everyone knows what I obviously would ask for, and I asked for the DeLorean from Back to the Future 2, which is a Japanese SNES game. And when I saw you make that, you're just like, oh, his lovely missus made me Marmite as well.
Yeah.
That sounded like so. No, I don't mean she made me tea. I mean she made me a Marmite bead. But yeah, and you see this sheer amount of work that he puts into it, and then you speed it up, and you're just like, wow. I would have made the tire and got bored and started watching Dave.
Well, it's kind of the same way that I sped up myself eating that burger.
Well, that's because it would have taken an hour.
It took us, I think, 2 days making it.
Christ alive.
It took
When I
us
was
an hour.
It's framed now, by the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you seen the Earthworm Jim one framed?
No.
I met in Australia, Chris Bruiser of Leftover Culture Review.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good mate of mine, and I decided to make him a Earthworm Jim.
Nice.
And that one went all the way across the world, so I was happy about that. And
That's awesome, knowing that there's a piece of your art on the other side of the planet.
yeah,
But that's the thing as well. And I want to point out.
I actually the closest thing I've got to talent is there's a picture I drew in the other room.
I can't draw.
Well, I want to point something out in a little bit as well about the fact that there are. The thing I find between like the game developers and the actors, the old school guys.
Sorry,
I'm not
we
talking about-
sidetracked you there. I didn't mean to have missed
That's
that.
fine. I'm not talking about your Phil Fishers, of course, because Phil Fisher's a duke. He is a complete doofus. There is no reason why Phil Fisher's the way that he is, but I digress on that situation.
I enjoy the product that Phil Fish made, and it's quite an epic game, but he is just beyond up his own arse. But
Agreed.
But the product that he made, Fez, is amazing, and I really, really, really enjoyed it.
It's a disappointment. Are you saying that you got such a great product, but then when you get to see, because I don't even know who he is. Sorry, people, but when the individual is one of those people that is a dick, it kind of disappoints you a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, he's famous for a number of reasons. He's famous for being a developer of Fez, which was an amazing game in its own right. but he's also famous for a big meltdown that he had, which well enough, and I will point out, he was kind of justified for the initial meltdown, but it was the aftermath he wasn't justified about. You know,
Yeah.
the attacking of YouTubers and Let's Players who played his game, saying people owed him money, the snide remarks and
right.
comments.
He doesn't know when to stay shut about stuff, and it's like, really, mate. Like, at one point, I think he was wanting a little bit of money for people doing like let's plays and reviews of his game. It's like, it doesn't work like that. It's
Free promo. That's one thing. It's not just him. Like I said, I don't call me ignorant. I don't even know who he is, but the whole let's play thing, when like copyright stuff like that, when people get all bent out of shape, I'm like, isn't it the greatest form of free advertisement in the world?
I think he has this me versus the world mentality, and he's literally got like Twitter and all sorts of pretty much poke back, because I think he's bitter about Summit, but he pretty much made Fez by himself, and that is a massive achievement, and it's such a really good game. But you're like, do you really need to be like this? Can you not just move on to your next project, and hopefully you yourself won't get in the way of this game being good or bad? But I have trust in, if he makes another game, it's going to get slated just for him being him
The baggage he's
over
brought to
the product itself.
But that's it. That's exactly it. And this is what brings me to my whole stance on this. The day where Makers did a video and he talked about the YouTube community, basically, and I've got an episode of I Got Gameplay coming up as well with Larry Bundy on it, where he talks about this a lot. And the amount of fucking arrogance in the community is ridiculous. Now, and I'll explain why. Now, I haven't got issues, and I keep saying this, I've got a lot of friends in the community, Rob Man, Johnny Millennium, the Happy Console Gamer, you know, GameSack, and I've been talking with those guys, and they're really nice people. I've got a lot of YouTube friends and people who work with Virtual Unlimited who are awesome people, right? And that, you know, my issue is not those types of people. It's the ones who think, the Angry Joes, for instance, who basically get all fucking arrogant of, I'm the best shit around, whose videos quality's gotten worse, who don't think they have to put out the same output of, you know, what made their channel famous, because they don't feel that they have any need to. Now, the fact that I sat down, I discussed with guys like John Noble, for instance, who was so fucking grateful. This guy is a seasoned actor, has probably been in over 100 different films and TV shows and games, and he could have had to, just basically had his nose up in the air and looked at me like I was a piece of shit. He was so fucking down to earth, you know? Same goes for like Drew, the same goes for Gideon. They all could have looked at me like I was a piece of shit. The same even could have been said for Felicia Day, for instance, she's got her hands in both worlds, you know, or, you know, Hynden Walsh, basically a very successful voice actor. Instead, they wanted to share their stories and talk about themselves. The world at the moment is more open. These, you know, you could the day back in the fucking 90s and the 80s, you never have fucking thought that you could sit there as a regular Joe and talk to your peers. Do you know what I mean? And in the fucking YouTube community, people barely even promote one another now. It's literally, you know, if you find a channel that you like, or if you're buddy with someone, you'll promote your friend. What about all the other fuckers out there who are trying to get their stuff noticed? What about...
Well, yeah, that's how YouTube worked, and this community's been on a shout-out type of thing for the last 8 years, since pretty much the epicenter of James Rolfe, and then everyone else doing their own thing.
Correct, but the thing is, you're getting a lot more clones coming out now who are doing the same thing as the next guy. I've seen about 30,000 different channels that are trying to be the Happy Console Game, or 30 freaking thousand different channels who are trying to be the Angry Video Game Nerd, or the next Alpha Omega Sin. And there's nothing new. But when you see someone who comes something and does something new, you don't want to do anything about it. You know, thank God I had someone like Steve Benway give a shout out to my channel. I probably would have never gone over 100 subscribers. Do you know? Someone like Dave gave me a shout out. And, you know, another thing, when I was at the convention, some guy called Stuart, great guy, shout out to Stu. I know you're probably listening to this episode, Stu. We love you, man. Thank you for the sexy biscuits and also answering my question from my channel. He wouldn't have recognized me, you know, and this is the thing here, people. Unless you're popular, unless you're YouTube famous, no one gives a fuck about you. And this is where the problem lies. How can someone like Kev stand out without people who are more successful than him giving him a shout out and pushing his channel? How is he supposed to get
I don't
the
think
love?
the community spirit's completely dead.
I think I've always been okay with that type of thing. I'd rather watch than still make content, but I'd rather support everybody and always be there, because I've been part of this since, I think, 2007, and it was only since the Game Chasers and I think it was video game sellers where I felt like, ooh, I want to do this. But it took like 6 years just even knowing that I wanted to make content over watching.
But that's the thing, and this is the thing that bugs me a lot about this is, why has the community spirit gone down the toilet? And it's happened. I am seeing people who I respect, who I love, starting to distance themselves from others. You know, I've had a lot of people distance themselves from me and my channel because of the things that I do, or because of the way that I do things. You know, I'm not a gaming channel. I've never prided myself in saying I'm a gaming channel. I do game reviews, I do film reviews, I do interviews, I do a bit of comedy. My channel's always been an all well-rounded, different type of channel to everybody else. And I think there's only two people who have ever given me a proper shout out. One's you, Dave, and the other one's Steve Benway. No one has ever given me a proper shout out and said, oh, actually, I will give a shout out to Rob Man as well. Rob Man gave me a shout out at a local convention that he did. I think it was the Portland Gaming Expo, on a panel with Alpha Omega Sin. I love Rob for that. And that's the thing, right? I'm not expecting people to give me a flood of fucking, oh my god, you're amazing. But what I do expect is people to say, like, if I'm putting a video out there, just watch the fucking video. It's like 5 minutes. If you like what I do, great. You know, sub and tell people that I'm your cup of tea. If you don't, fucking move on to the next thing. But I've always prided myself in never doing something that someone else is doing. You know, I pay homage, but I've never copied anyone. I don't want to copy anyone. You know, at the end of the day, I do my own thing, and if people like it, great. If they don't, well, you know, move on to the next channel. That's fine. But that's what bugs me about it. And your channel, like, I don't compare you to anyone because I've not seen anyone else do what you do. You're not a pro Jared, because pro Jared, probably, I can probably give you about 6 or 7 different channels that do the same thing that pro Jared does. But what I do see is when a lot of these guys get together and they become friends because they've met each other at a convention, that's when the shout outs come. And that's not the way it should be. Talent should stand out, and talent's not standing out because we're in a minefield of like a million different fucking Let's Players and shit.
Of which I am one, let's be honest.
But you're not a Let's Player, Dave, because you do a little playthrough of a game, talk about the game, and you're done. You're more, I would compare you more to a game reviewer. You do what you do is kind of similar to what Benway does, but you have your own style to it. And that's another thing. Yeah. YouTube 101, folks. If you have a channel and you idolize someone, don't rip the fucking channel off. Do your own style. You know, that's one. If you rip it off, then people are going to know that you're a fraud. You know, look what happened with fucking the Irate Gamer, for God's sake.
I got a thing to do with that, actually. Last year, did you watch his thing about when he first started? When he came out saying what actually happened?
No, he did come out and admit, though, that he was stealing James Rolfe bit by bit. Yeah. He literally copied him verbatim.
He's actually a really nice guy. I went throughout the years of, like, thinking he was useless, even though I was a big fan of him when he first started, but it came to light last year when he made his pretty much personal video of being quiet for about 6 years, of people still giving him death threats, which is pretty much pathetic. That there was a competition on game trailers to do videos like James Rolfe, and there was a prize, and he started getting like views on YouTube, like getting put on the main page. Like, check this guy out, and he got like, I think like 10,000 views at the time in like 2007, which was like a big deal. And pretty much, I don't think it was James Rolfe, but I think it was Mike Matei, and they started like saying stuff about him and getting like loads of people against him and that. So it'd be like, fuck him, he's a fraud and all that. It's really pretty much shocking, the real storyline.
Tribe mentalism.
Well, the thing is, I agree with you on that. People shouldn't be hating on one another. At the end of the day, if you don't like what someone does,
If you have an audience and people follow you, then you have a responsibility to behave in an appropriate manner.
exactly. And Mike
Because
Matei,
one
seriously,
thing you do, if you do have people that follow you, because I'm not saying everyone does it or everyone has it, but it will always be that fanboy mentality in an audience. So you got to be careful what you're saying. Think about what you're saying.
I was an NERG fan from the beginning. Like, I was, I'd say about 17 when I first started watching it, and it was until last year I got all of it, because I bought the movie, I think, within an hour of it being out on Vimeo or whatever.
the angry video game. No,
I thought the movie was okay, but then I went back to watching the new stuff, and I was just like, I'm gone. I do like James Rolfe's opinion on different matters, but it felt so horrible that I unsubbed.
and it
But
also
I knew it was the end
seems
of an era for me.
it seems forced as well. A lot of his new stuff, because I watched the new review he did, and he's literally just it doesn't have that same charm that it used to have. A lot of it looks like it's being done for money, and this is the one thing that kind of bugs me about it as well is the clickiness. You see a lot more of him and Jontron together, and Egoraptor, who's kind of sold himself out now. He used to do all these lovely tunes and stuff, and instead of doing what he does, he basically just does the same old shit, the same old stick.
Yeah, because he used to do loads of stuff on Newgrounds, which was really funny, and it was like part of loads of animated stuff.
Yeah, now he just does Let's Plays, funny little Let's Plays, which, again, I'm not hating on Game Grumps. If that's what you like doing, that's fine. But the problem is now, it's become so cliquey, the community, that no new person can come in. It's like, if I can put it...
I think some of that, though, it's not entirely its fault, because a lot of that is Google hasn't helped with the way that they've basically enshrined the community in the fact that it's... Let's say starting a channel now would not be as easy as it was 3-4 years ago. Because they didn't even necessarily did it back then, promote the small guy, but they've made it in such a way now that you can. I don't know. I don't even know how you would start a channel now. But it's so geared towards what they consider profitable, channels, that it's almost as a YouTube started as a hobby place for people, and now since Google
It's
got
a
it,
business.
yeah.
Well, it's become the celebrity in a sense. But the thing that bugs me about it the most is that this clique is there, and it's very hard for a little guy to kind of push their way through. Like, you do have some successes like PewDiePie, who probably doesn't talk to the other lot. He's found success on his own. Yeah, what he does is stupid. I don't watch his stuff because
I'm a fan of his stuff, and I think he's actually a quite down-to-earth person compared to a million billion type of people out there. From what I can see, he seems quite
Genuine.
Yeah.
I
think it's
stuff.
the top dog mentality where everyone looks down.
He's
But it is weird.
Okay, guys. Only dogs can hear the two of you now. One at a time. Kev first, and then Dave.
Dog can't look up.
I think it is the top dog mentality where it's like, really, this is number one, but even if he had like I'd say 15,000 subs, I'd still watch his stuff. Like
I think
it's
though it's a lot of what he's doing now, comparison to what he used to do, is he's doing it for the money. It's the same thing with James. You know, if I basically talked to AVGN and said, "Are you doing this for the money now?" he would probably give me a whole damn spiel about he was doing it for his fans, but he's doing it for the money. You can tell, you know.
yeah.
And again, I have no issue with the whole Patreon thing. So for
I,
everybody out there,
do they do Patreon? Like
no, I don't know if AVGN does, but for everyone out there, I have no issue with YouTubers doing Patreon. The one thing that I do have an issue with is the fact that a lot of the animators are now suffering because they can't get money to actually, because the YouTube changed its structure. It's not about the quality of content, it's about how many videos that you can produce.
It's about
how many
views.
minutes?
Yeah, and also it's about consistency, constant views, because constant views means you can slap an advert on it and then YouTube makes money.
Yeah, as Dave's put it, as a hole in one. But a lot of the artists and animators and filmographers are now suffering because they can't get enough money to make their content, and a lot of it's going to Let's Players. Now, whether they're good or bad Let's Players is a whole different story, you know. But the problem is now, YouTube has got so much shit going through it, it's basically destroying itself from within, in a sense.
I don't find, yeah, you know, it's a good point you say that. I don't feel it's a stable place, and I honestly say, I mean, I enjoy doing it, and we'll still do it. But the little part of my brain recently started thinking, will it still be here in 5 years? I don't know.
But that's the
I
thing.
think
The
there'll be
economy.
something else, like, but I think YouTube will be the top dog still for a while. But I think there will be a new platform that will be more catered to certain more uses over the mass effect of
It will be YouTube of where it was 5 years ago.
yeah.
Well, 10 years ago, sorry.
Well, there is a site that's pretty much like a time capsule of YouTube where it'll show like 5 years ago. I've seen that before. That was pretty cool.
The thing is, I think the one thing that does need to happen is that all the shit needs to be filtered out. In my opinion, you know, there are so many good quality YouTubers out there, and there's so much shit coming out as well at the same time. But I also feel that people need to, you know, and I will say this to anybody out there. People say I'm egotistical. Yeah, I get it. I have an ego. I'm an actor. That's kind of what I do. I have an ego. But I don't let my ego get in the way of anybody else. I'm very approachable. Like, for instance, I had that guy, Stuart, you know, and again, Stuart, thank you, approach me. I could have just sat there and just went, well, I've got 340, I think it's like 343 subs now. I'm amazing. Fuck you. That's why. Why would you do that? Remember, people, your fans are what make your channel. You know, in the end of the day, your content, you're doing this so that people can watch you. If your content becomes shit, then no one's going to watch you. You're going to die a very horrible death. Secondly, don't fucking act like an egotistical maniac. You've got people who love you and want to talk to you. If I see you crossing the street, I'm going to come up and say, hey, you know, I'm Mike, blah, 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 and talk to you. If you don't want to talk to me, then fair enough. That's your prerogative to do, but don't act like you are holier than thou. The greatest experience I had was when I was talking to these actors, when I was talking to these guys who basically didn't sit there and had an ego, because they could easily have had an ego. You know, back in the day, actors were all sort of seen and never heard. They were the A-list, you know what I mean? And because of stuff like these cons, it's made stuff so much accessible for anybody to go in there and talk to these guys, and no one has had an ego. Even guys who've made the most popular fucking animation, cartoon and webcomic, Cyanide and Happiness, both of the fucking writers and artists from there, these guys never had an ego. They sat there, they talked to me like I was a fucking idiot, which was hilarious because that's what they do, it's their shtick. And we had fun together, and that's the way it should be. So what I would say out there to anybody out there, if you've got a channel, you've made some success from your fucking channel, here's an idea. If you see someone that you like, promote them. Get them out there, get their name out there, and stop being a fucking dick. And don't get an ego about yourself. Get over yourself.
Personality over profit.
Yeah, because in the end, YouTube, like everything else, is social media. It's about being there for everybody else, right? And no offense, the trolling videos, they get old. The Let's Plays, they get old. And I have a personal problem with a lot of Let's Players.
My Let's Plays, not trolls. So.
And you know what? And there's only, I think out of anybody, there's only a few guys that I could sit there and say, that guy's approachable. You know, Johnny and Rob, again, very approachable guys, very nice guys. You know, Markiplier, he's a guy who values his fans.
Half me and Kev. Sorry.
Yeah. You know, Steve Benway, another one. Dave, of course. We wouldn't be doing this show together if we didn't fucking like one another. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
I would never, ever, and even when people, and I know it's hard to deal with, I have some fans, even I'm trying to get over the fucking thing that I have fans, because to me, I'm like, really? Me?
I'm a fan of yours. I rode a toy car with you.
Yeah, you did. And those people,
with style, may I add.
Thank you. And those people who are fans of mine, I approach them and I talk to them. I'm never going to fucking sit there and shit on people because I think I'm better than anyone else. That's the difference between, you know, someone who really values people and someone who doesn't. And I value everyone. You know, every person out there is a value. And I've seen these same people who sit there and go on about bullying, right? Oh, you know, someone, we really need to stop bullying, and then act like an inapproachable fuckhead to people who just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Right? You're part of the problem. You really, really are part of the fucking problem. Right? So get your head together, show focus. Oh, and another guy I think is one of the most approachable people on the planet, Mega Ran. I did his video. I sit there and I edit videos for him and do like and do as much as I can for the guy, and use my free time. I do it for free because I value him. You know, he was a guy when he came here the first time, and I don't get to experience him again this year. When he came over and he toured Europe, the guy would give me the shirt off his back. Literally, the proverbial shirt off his back he would give me. Anybody who approached him and said, "You're amazing," he would spend time to talk with them and just find out about them. You know, this dude is probably one of the hardest workers and the most popular guys in the industry at the moment, with a growing fan base. His Patreon is growing. He, you know, his the album collection is growing. The amount of people buying his stuff, the amount of industry contacts with big places like IGN and Nerdist, it's growing, and he still has stayed humble. That shows a difference.
But that also comes down to the personality of the individual to some degree as well.
Correct.
You will always have people who, you know, are humble, and they could be, you know, the most popular person on the planet, but even to some degree you could come down to the way they were raised, I guess, if we're going to go really deep. But there will always be people who will just be themselves, because that's, no pun intended, who they are, as opposed to people who do this, get popular, and then feel that they need to become a caricature of themselves.
But that's the thing, and I think here's the thing I'll say to anybody out there: be fucking grateful, because you know what? And I'll say this: the YouTube popularity of anyone is going to fade. It will fade. If you own a YouTube channel and you're popular now, that's going to go. The same goes for actors as well. Eventually, your star wanes. You know, your star goes.
Tastes come and tastes go.
It's only the ones that are fucking mental breakdowns that you usually just stick by, which is a shame, because that person needs help and you shouldn't be standing there watching them and paying to read newspaper articles about this person. They literally need help.
Well, it's the same in any medium.
Yeah, but the thing is, YouTube is not a stable medium, and eventually any fame that people have is going to be waning. And the only way you're going to get over things is getting over yourself, because as soon as you hit that bottom, as soon as you're there and nobody else is around, where are you going to be without your fan base?
To quote Mo from The Simpsons, dig up, idiot.
Exactly. And you know what? And I'll say this: use the time that you have now. Be a positive influence on people. Don't be a negative one, because at the end of the day, once your ego comes in, no one's going to even give a fuck about you because you're going to lose everything that made you who you are. And that's the sad part.
So never be a dick.
Yeah. The moral of this story is, don't be a twat.
In the words of Will
Indeed.
Wheaton, don't be a dick. Exactly.
I think you mean Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton, yes. So yeah, that was my little rant, and that was kind of. I'm going to probably end up doing a video about this on my channel as well, eventually. But that's, in a nutshell, something I had to get off my chest because I've seen it, and I was talking to Anino about this the other day because I was sitting there, I was like, and every actor I've ever talked to, Peter O'Toole, Kenneth Branagh,
Cool.
any actor that I've ever actually had a dialogue with, they
I
have.
like to think when you met Kenneth Branagh, he just talked like a lovey. Did he?
He was very, very just like down to earth. He just sat there and he was like, "So you play a very nice corpse," and I was just
Oh
like,
no, darling, you play a very nice corpse.
I just sat there and I was like, "Am I allowed to open my eyes?" Oh, hello. But it was a fun experience, and then that's the thing that I want to point out. It's not about you.
Loved you at Mary Shelley Frankenstein. So.
Yeah, your success or your fame. It's about the people that you interact. The one reason I keep doing this and doing these shows and doing my channel is because I love doing it. It's probably the same reason you do it, Dave. And I earn no money off of the Nerd Genius, and I'll say it now, off of my website, my blog, off of the YouTube channel at all, because it's not my medium. I never claimed to be a YouTuber, but I do it for the sheer fun of it and for the sheer.
That would be
pleasure
my
of doing
advice
it.
to anyone who does want to start. Ignoring that I said it's very difficult now. I'm just saying it's not impossible. It's difficult compared to how it was before. Google completely changed its process into being a business. But yeah, do it because you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, people will see that. People like to watch enthusiasm and characters. If that
People like to have fun while learning or enjoying what they're watching.
That's what I try and do with mine, which is ultimately I do when I even do gameplays and not my vlogs. I try and give you a pinch of what it's about, give you a little bit of fact just to say this is it, so basically if you like it, this is where you get it, and then the rest of it is basically, do I enjoy it? Would you enjoy it?
Well, before I was watching, Game Taff, and he had a really good video about Knuckles Chaotix on the 32X, and I learned quite a lot about that game, even though I had the tiniest little go of it in Blackpool and the controller didn't work. But I was like, oh, this game sounds really interesting, even though I was aware of the legacy of it. But the mechanics and the story about it was really interesting. And that message came across quite nicely in the channel.
Yeah, it's like when you watch something on TV, it's tell me, inform me of it, but then don't do like the Wikipedia approach, which is just state to statistics. Jump in there, show me, even if, and I do mainly in my gameplays, even if you suck at it, but me seeing you play it and voice your frustrations or your joys as you do it is far better than any written review of a game.
It's exactly what Anthony said. He goes, what do I learn? If I'm watching your channel, what do I learn from you? What am I going to take away from what you're doing? What's the
How to grow a
experience?
curly mustache.
But
I did that before.
But it's what what do I take away from you? And that's, I think, where a lot of people don't understand it. Even when you're doing these channels, have fun at it because it shows how engaging you are. If you're going to sit there and do a let's play, you're not engaging with your audience. If you're going to be like,
I disagree. You are, which some people do.
Unless,
I like to think I do, and that's not me defending my content, but I know what you mean and where you're coming from. I do, but I think this is where I like the fact that I just point my camera at the TV and film myself almost real time, because then you are engaging your audience because it's off the cuff. The type of let's play video I can't stand, and if people do it, fine. I'm not having a pop at you. I'm just saying I don't enjoy it, which is it's a gameplay, and then they add the commentary afterwards. Well, then I'm not in the moment. I'm not in the room with you. If that makes sense. That's like audio commentary on a DVD. I don't want that, you know.
Yeah.
It's all well and good that you can talk about it afterwards, but I'd rather be in the room with you, sucking at the game, hands on, because it's a more personal experience.
But the thing is, I'm not just talking about that. For you though, a lot of what brings people to your channels, Dave, is your vlog. You know, you open yourself up to people a lot. You know, a lot of if you go back to Dave's videos, a lot of his videos he talks about his anxiety. He talks about issues that he has with people. He talks about his own pet peeves. I can similarly say probably 95% of your audience knows you just as much as I know you as a friend. Do you know what I mean? There's certain nuances about you that I know that they probably don't, but they're only formalities.
What, my massive penis?
Sorry. No, it's like, because I know you on a close personal level, but each and every one of your audience members have a relationship with you, and it carries on with your play, your little let's plays. You know.
Yeah. I think that's some of the reason why he ended up getting a shout out by Rich Tech USA as well.
Yeah, and it's because your audience finds you engaging. And I think a lot of what people don't understand is it's one thing to have a channel, another thing is to engage with your audience. And if you can't do that, if no one can connect with you, then there's only going to be a certain time frame.
It's not a camera in front of you, people. It's a conduit.
I agree.
To other people's living rooms, if that makes sense.
As an actor, they've always said that.
If you watch my channel, it's thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. I'll be here all week. Sorry. I'd like to think, and this is, and I'm not bigging myself up, it comes back to what Burhan said, and it comes back to what makes a good YouTuber, I think, and I'm not saying I'm a good YouTuber, it's, if you let me into your living room, then that's amazing, so I'll be humble and I'll be me, because I wouldn't want to be there if I was something else.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Now buy me a steak. Sorry.
But that's the thing, you know, in the end of the day, you know, for me, there's a lot of videos where it's like today I sat there and I laughed because with YouTube there's only a certain time frame that they'll filter your videos through. That's when they gain a certain amount of popularity. I realized there was a video I did way back. I got like 100 views on it when I first did it. It was a video called "There Are Too Many Spider-Men in the Marvel Universe." Right, and only now.
Actually, there's a metaphor there. There's too many Spider-Men in the Marvel Universe, but only one Peter Parker.
But yeah, but you know, there's. I did that video. It was ages ago. I think it was like nearly over a year ago. And it was talking about the Ultimate Universe 2099, Superior Spider-Man, and eventually.
Shattered Dimensions, by the way, is an underrated gem of a game.
Well,
what is?
Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions.
Oh, that's alright. I've heard about how good it is. And the Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah, that's amazing. Think Metal Gear Solid, but in Spider-Man form and black and white, 1920s.
But do you know what makes me laugh about that though is the amount. Like I recently just got a comment on it today, and I'm like, this video was done a year ago, but only now has it got a comment because YouTube have allowed people to comment on the. It started to make its way through the shit. It gets over 500 views, and now people can actually comment on it.
Comic book stuff's up and rising at the minute on YouTube.
Yeah, and you can tell, and a lot of it makes me laugh because when I've been doing this for about 6 years. I'm only now getting kind of like people are starting to find me. And I'm not saying I'm the greatest YouTuber in the world because I'm not, you know. A lot of people tell me that my channel is highly underrated, but the thing is, I just make content for making it. I don't do it because I want to be known, I want to be seen, I want fans or anything like that. It's just I just do what I do. If I had one person watching my stuff or like 100 people watching my stuff, then it is whatever. I'm grateful. Yeah. But in the end, I just do it because I have an idea in my head. Hey, I want to do this video, and I do it. And that's literally it. And I think the sense of community is kind of gone because everyone's trying to clamor in and go, I can make a career out of this, but there's no substance there. You might have amazing graphics. Your videos may have you may have an amazing camera. Doesn't mean you're any good. The only thing that makes you good is the ability to transcend and engage with your audience.
Personality.
Yeah, and your personality, and the thing that makes me laugh is there's only a few people who can do it.
You don't need expensive equipment. That's one thing I would like to say. If you got it, I'm not, having a pop or anything. It's brilliant. It's just, I think some people approach this and just think that production value equals success, and it doesn't.
No, it comes down to personality and how much fun.
It's
you
like
have.
I've got a nickname for myself when it comes to YouTube, which I talked about or mentioned when I was on Desert Island Games with John Latimer, which is sometimes I refer to myself as Captain Low Res. My videos are on 480. I don't care.
You know what? I've just checked the video. It was done on August 26, 2013, and only now has someone actually commented on the video.
Yeah, but that is an interesting thing about YouTube, which is depending upon who watches a video, and then it shows up in their likes list, and so it trickles down.
Yeah.
Someone else will see it, someone else will see it, someone else will see it. I kind of like that fact that I've got videos from 4 years ago, and every now and then you get a comment on it, and you're like, that was 4 years ago. Obviously, I answer the comment, but you're like,
yeah, it's the whole like Anita Sarkeesian thing, and I did a video at one point 6 months ago on Anita Sarkeesian. This video is probably like a year old, well, 2 years old now, on Anita Sarkeesian, and it blew up. It was like after 6 months of this video being up, it blew up. It started getting shown in everyone's searches. They changed the algorithm so that the video was searchable, and bam, it hit 11,000 views. I was like, what the fuck? And a lot of it was great because it still, I still mean every word I say, and it still holds weight because.
Well, she's a hot topic, weren't she? In Gamergate.
yeah.
But I wasn't just speaking about that from her perspective. I was speaking about the fact that she's being white knighted for stealing money from people because she still hasn't delivered. She still hasn't delivered the content that she was promised. Because the series is still going, and she does like one video every like 6 to 12 months, and a lot of that is to do with the fact that she's doing a lot of tours. Because it was the way she played this was very, very eloquently in a sense, because she used the fame and the backlash, the negative backlash. Because I still consider her one of the world's best trolls. She trolled people so hard that she managed to make a career out of being a troll.
Yep.
And she's now supplanted as a celebrity in the media. And again, it's someone who's used YouTube, doesn't give back to anyone else, and has used it for their own selfish needs. You can agree with me or disagree with me. That's totally up to you, peeps.
Well, what was it? They put her on, I think it was Time Magazine's website is, I think, within the top 10, top 100 influential people. And they just did it just to get views because she was a hot topic of a name.
Yeah, they did it to troll everybody else. It was kind of using her same methods to troll others. And this is the thing where it comes down to it that bugs me about YouTube. It's made celebrities of people who otherwise probably would have been standing there on soapboxes. But it's also put a very negative light on feminist culture because feminism isn't like that. I was talking to a feminist reporter recently.
Watch me play a video game in a low-cut top.
Well, feminism.
No, I was talking about me. Seriously.
Oh, well, feminism itself is a theory, and it's the same as anything else. Feminism is a theory, just like the celebrity. There's this whole thing about dissecting celebrity. I've got one of my books on it. It's called The Theory of the Celebrita. It's still a theory. Stage, theatre, theatre theory is still a theory.
I'd like to dissect a celebrity, and by that I mean Kim Kardashian with, select sharp tools.
She's
Sorry.
probably 100% almonds. Anyway, everything is a theory, and feminism has been turned into this cult sort of religion by a lot of negative people. And I'm not going to say everyone's like that. At the end of the day, about theories are you can use them to dissect pretty much anything. I can apply feminism to my cat.
I demand you explain this by applying feminism to the DeLorean.
Exactly. You can sit there and talk about how the DeLorean and the fact that it goes only
It
88.
has gull wing doors, which are clearly based on the vagina. Sorry.
Yeah, that it opens up, and it basically the fact that you walk out of it, it's like it's giving birth.
I'm so sorry, people. I can't believe that just came out my mouth.
It's
The
a car
impact just
of
hit my
nature.
brain.
It's a car of nurture and nature, but it's the whole thing. If you look at it and look at the way that society is, people embrace certain theories and effects, and it becomes to the fact where the noise, and Sarkeesian's part of that, the noise comes out.
The noise becomes more heard than the message of the individual.
Yeah,
It's like Chinese whispers.
exactly, and that's another thing that I've got a problem with. Where the fuck did all the positive people go?
I'm still here.
But you know what I mean. Where's the positive? What happened to the positivity? What
Well-
happened to those who sat there? Like, for instance, I was showing Fungo a new game that's come out. It's a horror game for the PlayStation. I'm just gonna point it out. I'll tell you what it's called. It's basically like an old B movie horror film.
Aye, I've seen the trailer for it yesterday. It looked really, really good.
Yes, it's called
I'm
Until
not
Dawn.
a fan of horror altogether, but I was like, it looks really interesting.
Yeah, it's called Until Dawn, and in this game, I was talking about it, and I'm going to just point out one of the comments. I'm not going to name the guy who said it because I'm not naming and shaming people, so meh. But I am going to point it out. Now, you know, me and Fungo were joshing about it. He says like he's pretty hard to
Fungo
play
and
horror
I.
movie. And I basically said, you know, I made a kind of an off comment on it, and we were just talking, and I was saying about the fact that I love the fact that the game's centered on story as well as gameplay, because it looks like it's a playable movie. That's the way this game looks. And then one comment comes out and goes,
What's it called again? I haven't seen this. I got to look this up.
Until Dawn on the PlayStation 4.
PlayStation 4.
It does look really impressive, but that was all just cutscenes and stuff. But
That's pretty much it. And one person comes out and goes, it looks very cheesy and an uninspired pass. That
I
bugs
think
me.
it's very inspired. I think it looks like it's going to be really story driven, and I like the end quote. You decide who lives, pretty much.
And
That's
exactly it.
That's a cool aspect. I like that.
And that's exactly it. But then the guy was like, 99% of the time, I hate the trailer, I hate the game. The only exception was Darkness. I loved the trailer, but I hated the game. This is the thing that bugs me. You get people who are so nihilistic about new games coming out. It's like, come on, right?
One thing I would like to say when you talk about that, you know, people being nihilistic about games, and I've had my moments where I've voiced an opinion, but I still stand by this statement, which is, regardless of how something looks, give it a fair crack at the whip, and if you don't like it, then constructively voice your opinion about it.
Exactly.
Don't write it off before it's even out of the blocks, because
It could be one of the best things you've ever done.
And you're cutting your nose off to spite your face, and you're missing a gem.
Indeed.
But that's exactly it. At the end of the day, no one's telling you to go out and buy a game for like $40 or $60 or like 60 or 40 to 60 pounds in the United Kingdom. It's like
Because we get shafted on our prices over here, people in North America.
It's like what I said about my Mortal Kombat review. If you don't want to buy the game and the DLC, wait until the Game of the Year edition comes out. You know,
I don't know, when it's all out and you don't need to pay for cheaper, easier fatalities.
But wait, Michael, you can... Isn't that called cheating? You can pay for
That's
easy...
called a face palm. I heard that and I was like, that's diabolical.
That's
When I
like going
first
back
heard
to
that.
Crash magazine from the 80s and checking the poke section of the magazine to break games. That's like, I want to pay to make a game I bought easier as opposed to learn how to be better at it myself.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Just hearing something like that, it's like, back in the day, you had to proper go and find out the codes just to do the fatalities, and then the fatalities got even easier, and now it's literally just one button press.
Oh
If
my
you pay.
god. I mean, I suck at Mortal Kombat. I think I could only do the fatalities in Mortal Kombat 3 with Sub-Zero, because he's
I like
the
Mortal Kombat
easiest.
2.
But the point is, if you can't do them, then you didn't fail at the game, you didn't learn it. So to have hang on, we'll help you out by giving you a button press that you can buy as downloadable content. Content is pathetic. If anything, and I disagree with it, then make it an option in the menu, but don't make it fucking downloadable. That's like, oh, Oh, can I download something from my real life which lets me park on double yellow lines? It's pathetic.
Yeah.
That's the thing here. If you think about it, there are several ways you can experience a game without having to buy it.
Well,
One,
there's an analogy here, which sorry, I'll just quickly say this, which it comes down to DVDs, which is, and I waste lots of money on DVDs, mainly zombie films because I have the zombie rule. But I have a phrase which is places like Sainsbury's, Tesco's, and Asda, which is you really want to see a movie that you missed in the cinema and you don't want to Netflix it because you want to own a physical copy. Wait 3 months and then it'll show up on the £7 aisle. I guarantee. So
Well, it's the same at the minute with me getting the PS4. I bought a few games very cheap now. All of them seem to be in like the £15-12 mark where I want to get by them.
in the end, right?
there can be only one.
No, the way that it goes is you can rent a game, you can buy a game, or you can buy the game pre-owned. You don't have to go out on the day of the game and buy it unless you're a Let's Player who wants to fucking filter this shit on a YouTube channel, which I'm still not 100% behind. No offense, I know there's a few channels that I watch where if I'm not going to buy the game, I'll watch the playthrough. But the day of experiencing a game, you know what I loved about the old 16-bit
The experience
consoles?
never changes. The impact of the game will always be the same. It doesn't matter when you play it. It's not going to be. They spend all this money on hyping it up and the hype machine, the momentum to make you go. You must go out and buy Call of Duty. Which, granted, I always do. Not because of that. Just because because I generally enjoy it. I know it's not popular to say you genuinely enjoy Call of Duty, but I do. And I'm talking about the single campaign, even though it's really short. But it doesn't matter when you buy the game. You know, they can shove it down your throat as much as you want. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the experience will be the same whenever you own it, whether it was on day one or 4 years later.
But that's the thing, right? If you don't want to see a game, don't want to playthroughs. If you don't, and that's the one thing that I had to say about Mortal Kombat that I had to avoid every single fucking Let's Play of this game. When I reviewed it, everyone was doing it. I managed to grab a copy and a friend's PS4, play through the game myself, do a review, and then once I gave all that shit back, I basically looked on YouTube. But
you formed an opinion. That's the thing, though, isn't it? You played it, you formed an opinion, then you put it into the video. You didn't just go with hearsay as such.
But that's the big thing here. And when people come out there and they fucking flood the entire internet with opinions, no one has an informed opinion anymore. Oh, because my favourite person, basically does that, then I believe the same thing. Or if of course Dave Wade has an opinion on something, then his opinion's mine. Fucking play the game. You can't judge a game by the trailer.
One thing I've always said, and I remember getting into an argument once with my comment section, which I shouldn't have, but it was when I made a point of making a video, which is, remember, people, regardless of what it is, a video game, a book, a comic, movie, TV, taste is subjective. I fucking hate EastEnders, but when people say, oh, EastEnders is shit, it should be taken off TV, I'm like, well, no, it shouldn't, because 9 million people a week enjoy it, so let them have it.
I had the exact same...
They do, yeah, so taste is subjective. Someone said, if you say so, because I still think this game, it was on my Batman PC Engine game.
I think Danny Dyer is the shittest actor in the world, but in the end, people like him.
Yeah, I think he's the shittest actor in the world, but I enjoy him because he's
I
almost
used to enjoy him, but then I called him Mr. DVD himself.
But
Mr. DVD. He single-handedly is the English film franchise, isn't he, when you think about it? He's the hardest working... It may not all be good quality... Well, none of it's good quality stuff, even though I enjoy him. Basically, if Danny Dyer wasn't here, or never existed, there'd be like 500 movies a year less in the English film market.
He's basically the British version of Steven Seagal, in a sense.
Yes, straight to DVD.
And I'm not begrudging him in any form or fashion, because in the end he's had a very successful career from what he's done, and I agree with that. I have no
Plus he does talk awesome, If I never knew who he was, but he told me to shut up and called me a slag in the pub, I would shut up.
Or say cunt.
No, I wouldn't. I just go. He taught Cockney good. I'm going to go and stand outside so he doesn't rape my face with his hardness.
There still
But that's
is
the
loads of good movies with Danny Dyer in, like The Business, Outlaws,
Movie.
stuff like that.
But that's the thing, and that's the thing that people need to think about. I have a subjective opinion on him. Doesn't mean my opinion's valid.
No.
No, good point. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to allude to before we got distracted into Danny Dyerland, which is a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there.
That's the thing that we said about Tim Burton's movies. I love Tim Burton personally. A lot of people
I like
hate
Tim
him.
Burton stuff.
But I can see why people don't at the same time. Because they're wrong. It's pretentious in his visual style, and it's more illusion and visuals over content. Well, maybe it is, but that's personally why I like it.
I like when he doesn't do remakes. I feel like remakes by him are never
Oh yeah, I'll give you that
too
one.
interesting, or they don't seem right as movies.
I did love his Planet of the Apes. I'm not gonna lie.
I did like Planet of the Apes. It didn't really affect us that much. But I'd say when I watched Alice in Wonderland,
Oh, that was
it was one of the worst movie experiences I ever had.
Yeah, sorry, people. Spoilers, but you took Alice in Wonderland and then you kind of
Changed
tried
its
to make
name.
a sequel to it,
It
which
changed its name,
yeah, I just
and everyone was horrible and bleak. And the last Tim Burton movie I really enjoyed, Sweeney Todd, and I think that's really, really funny and enjoyable. But I can't remember the last movie he made. In the last,
I'm trying to think. What was his last
4 or 5
movie?
years. Sorry.
Hang on.
Wasn't it that Tim Burton movie that was based on those TV shows? Johnny Depp was a vampire. I'm trying to think what it was called.
Oh, I love that movie. Fuck. Based on
I haven't
that
seen that one yet.
Based on that daytime soap. It was a soap originally, even though it was horror.
But he tried to make it more into kind of a dark horror
Shadow,
movie.
Dark Shadows.
Yes.
I absolutely adore that movie.
But a lot of people don't. It tanked, and I think a lot of it was just due to oversaturation of its style. But again,
I just like the bit when he
subjective.
rips the back off the TV and just goes, "Show yourself, tiny songstress."
But it's, as I said, in the end, I think it's just oversaturation on that point. But when it comes down to it, I can have an opinion on a movie. It's not necessarily everyone else's opinion. I hated World War Z. Dave loved it.
Hang on. I enjoyed it.
Mixed.
But
I enjoyed
I
it
had a
because
lot
I
of
love
people who
zombie
agreed
movies.
with me at MCM who said that World War Z. I said World War Z is an action movie with zombies in it.
It was a bold decision. This is why I enjoy it. It was a bold decision to try and take a book that was a collection of stories about how they overcame, the zombie virus, and they basically turned them into scenes and edited them together, as you said, in an action movie form.
No,
So
but they didn't. That had nothing to do with the book. The only thing that came from the book was the name. They just wrote a whole new screenplay.
No,
and just called it World War
the
Z.
taking over the walls bit and the 10 seconds before you become a zombie and crap. That was from the book. But the point of the book was it was afterwards looking back at the zombie apocalypse when we overcame it, and the movie just basically, well, you're right on this, just said, well, we got a brand name now, we use it, and we're going to loosely rework scenes from the book into one coherent movie, which was basically, even on paper, impossible. But Hollywood, they just went, Brad Pitt likes this, and we've got $200 million.
But that's
In fact,
the thing. It's
boring
not-
random fact, didn't they screen it and people didn't like it, so then they spent another $80 million on reworking or entirely reshooting the end? Don't quote me.
Yeah, because a lot of it was due to the fact they didn't want to make him out to be the... because he's like... They wanted to keep him humane because he was killing zombies and chopping their heads off. And they didn't want that.
There is one thing I took from this movie, which makes me sound like a mentally ill person, but I compile a list of survival facts in my brain for when the zombie apocalypse does eventually happen, and who knew? Can't believe I never thought of it. It's such a sweet idea, which is taping magazines around your forearms. So, that's the part of you that's most visible or exposed to a zombie, so if they bite you, you don't get infected. Genius.
Oh,
Why don't
I've seen that before in I think Friday After Next when Terry Crews puts on like phone books as like uh
Do you know they're making one final Friday movie that's going to have every one of the original movie in it?
so Chris Tucker.
Yeah. As long as they make him smoke angel dust again, telling him it was weed so he can sit in the chicken coop and just go.
Smoke it.
But this is the thing: when it comes down to any of like what's happened, and in terms of like how you form an opinion on a game or on a movie or on a book, it's an opinion. Don't use
Yes.
don't judge
You're
or
allowed
have a
your own.
bias.
Other people are allowed to have their own. That's no reason to fall out with your best friend because
But it
he
happens
thinks
a lot.
Well, that's just the stupidity of humanity, which is why basically we're constantly at war with other people. Which is he likes it, you don't. Well, big deal. Get over it. Go and watch something you like.
Oh no.
Don't sit there and argue the merits of why it was crap. All right, I've done it drunkenly in a pub with people because that's what you do, when you've had a few or whatever. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you like it, it's like I said about EastEnders. I fucking hate EastEnders, but if you like it and it brings joy into your life, good for you.
Well,
It's like Burhan, you hate football, but I could not live in a world without Match of the Day.
Yeah. Well, a couple of
I don't
weeks
hate
ago.
football. I just don't. I don't see the need for it, and I think a lot of these guys are overpaid for what they do.
Yeah, but you seem to forget that my team, who just got promoted back to the Football League, is Bristol Rovers, so I'm pretty sure they probably don't get paid that much more than me.
Very true. But when I see someone with a very big car getting the same amount of money as probably 3 MPs, then I'm just sitting there going, okay, that's a bit too much.
Oh, I agree with that. But then that's it's become a victim of its own success, which is, now independent football players. Look how wide and our topics are tonight. Independent football players now have become a brand within themselves. So they spend stupid money to get them because having that specific player with the club will ultimately boost not necessarily the club's, even though that's what it's supposed to, the club's chances of promotion, but because then they've got a brand that they can stick on a shirt and their merchandising and their TV rights go through the roof.
Well, that was David Beckham near the end of his career, just a Pokemon card that was in like a shiny.
That's the greatest
He's
analogy ever of David
It's
Beckham.
still what he is. He's living off of his past fame. The Americans. Why do you think he's in America so much? Because he thinks that he could probably make himself a celebrity based on his past fame. He tried acting. That fucking tanked because he realised.
I don't dislike the guy. I used to really dislike him, but I don't dislike the guy. And I
don't dislike him.
Even though, he does a lot of stuff for money, you see that he's clearly a good father, although I am slightly jealous of this, which is, how come David Beckham's kid got to talk to Stephen Hawking? I want to talk to Stephen Hawking, so that's not fair. But I think, I guess if people are going to throw money at you and you take it because you want to be, right, he's got too much financially secure, but there is another tangent to footballers, which is, if someone's going to offer you that much money, are you going to say no?
Of course not.
And right, yes, it's obscene that they pay people that much money. There's people in the Premiership, aren't there, on fucking 200 grand a week. Yes, it's obscene, and I don't do stuff for money, but, and this would be my stance on it, if someone came up to me and just said, do you want to do this for, and we'll pay you 200 grand a week, I would say, all right, but I wouldn't necessarily look at it as shoving it in my bank. I think, well, it gives me the means to do something else. Because there's a lot of, footballers out there who get paid obscene amounts of money, but what you don't hear about, because the press likes to be, narcissistic, is what they do with it. And not everyone just uses it to buy a fucking Bentley. And some people do a lot of good with it.
Well, the actor Charlie Hunnam, he saves all his money, and I'm sure he lives off barely nothing, even though he was like the main character of Sons of Anarchy and star of Pacific Rim. I heard that his phone's still like a Nokia, something from like 2003.
Nice. By the way, Burhan, you'll like this because we were talking about it, and it's on your timeline in text pre-show. But Matt Rayner just popped up on Facebook for a private message with me and just said, "Dave, I'm not sure you've seen this, but you got to really see it." And guess what the movie is?
What is it?
Kung Fury.
Yeah, I basically shared it on my timeline.
It keeps going round again.
Oh.
Kung Fury. I remember like 2 years ago when I was helping the Kickstarter, no one gave a flying fuck about that.
I agree. No, it was on Kickstarter. I think it didn't. It reached a certain. It reached its goal. I think.
He did do most of it before the Kickstarter, like, but
Yeah.
he did say he was going to stick it on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah. It also debuted at the Cannes Film Festival, which I'm well jealous at because I'm actually. I was supposed to put a movie out this year for Cannes, which I'm going to do next year now. Instead. But it's.
Could I be a skin baby in it?
Well,
Sorry.
it's the movie I'm doing is going to be split something different. It's kind of one of the reasons that I set up my own actor-director
I
page.
demand you make me like an in-joke that you get with certain directors, and that every movie you make, at some point, you find a way to make me a skin baby, relevant to the story or not.
Well, at the end of the day, Dave, as I said, whatever movies I'd make, I'll totally use you for. Now, going on from that,
I want to be
guys,
dying guy, and then you can do that quote, the noise they always use in movies when the same bloke dies. The specific example is in Return of the Jedi when Han Solo throws in the bunker end or the box at the person in the bunker and knocks him over the edge, and he goes ah, and that scream is constantly used for dying guy in movies. I want to be that bloke.
Well, saying that, guys, you know, any times, as I said, in terms to starting to put a caveat to this whole gaming thing, develop your own opinion, do your own thing.
And remember, it's your opinion, you're entitled to it.
There you go, and I agree with
I have
you.
a little tangent we could jump on for something I really want to
Dave.
really talk about. Well, not tangent, but something about since movies that I did a video about yesterday, and I'm not promoting it, but it's something that Sean Michelin put something up on his timeline. It got me thinking about it, and it's true, which is, people, am I the only person who misses the rental store?
I never ever rented.
I still
My
have one
family
that
did.
actually is located in
Really?
Forest Hill. Yep. It's called For Your Eyes Only. I rented Watch Dogs from them, which was a game I spent 60 hours of my own entire life on that game.
And remember, people taste is subjective, but turned out to be shit, didn't it?
Yeah, subjectively, it was shit for my tastes, and a lot of it was because and I was talking to Larry about it. He enjoyed the game, and one of the reasons he enjoyed it was the multiplayer hacking mechanic. I hated the game because of the fact that I felt the single player and the story was lacking, and that what they did was they built the game so much around this mechanic and hyped the game so much that when it came to actually comparison to expectations, the game failed miserably.
Yeah, I've got it for the Wii U, but I've still not technically played it. But
I was just going to say, how good is it on the Wii U? Because when it was released, I really, really wanted it, and maybe it was a case that there were so few big titles coming out for the Wii U back then. I kept going into Argus in every store, and it was sold out everywhere. And then I watched Burhan's review, and as I said, taste is subjective, people, so it might be brilliant. I don't know. But,
you never know. I might send it.
Really,
I send
really
my,
pleased that I never got a copy of it.
Okay, Kev, you got to start that tangent again because I had no idea what you were saying.
I might send you the game to play if you want.
I would love that.
I've got the Wii U version. I just still haven't played it.
I
don't mind the
literally
gameplay,
want to play the
good
game.
But my mentality was, I knew about all the hype and all the death of like what it was meant to be. I went, if it's not good on the Wii U, it's not good on anything.
Good point. No, and that's a viable point as well, which is, regardless, and it comes back to fanboyism, which is my platform's better than yours, which goes right back to Spectrum versus Commodore and the playground when I was a kid. Sorry, I didn't know I was Northern. It's a fully realised game, regardless of the restrictions of the hardware that it runs on, is a fully realised game. So, as you say, if it's not good on this, then it won't be good on anything, because ultimately, regardless of the visuals,
It's the same game.
Yeah, the concept and the playability of the game are exactly the same. Anyway, Burhan, going back to you quickly. Really? There's still rental stores in London?
Yeah, there was a rental store that came about in Forest Hill. I'll tell you a little bit about it. For Those Only used to be Home, I believe it was called Home Video or something. It was back, this store existed before I was even born. It was bought out, changed to For Your Eyes Only, based on the James Bond movie. And the gentleman who runs it was renting video games and movies since I was a kid. You know, my dad used to buy beta from there, and
Beta for English.
beta mechs. And the fun thing about that was my dad was a home pirate. And I don't mean he wore an eye patch and went.
I was just going to say, he walked around your house just going, yar.
He literally used to. He
But
found a way.
go make me tea, yar.
He found a way to basically copy from one beta player to another, to copy like tape because they used to have the copy protection, but he found a way to go around.
Oh, Macrovision, it was called, wasn't it? Because possibly, allegedly, I may have found a way to have circumvented it in my youth, allegedly.
But then,
Alright, bollocks, I'm going to tell you what I used to do. I used to take Van Damme movies. I had one VHS, allegedly, over the bottom of another VHS in my room, and I used to edit by pausing and re-recording. I say edit because I'm doing it off two VHSs together. When Van Damme would kick someone in the face, I'd like redo the kick about 7 times. So instead of him just going ba-ba, he would go ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. And allegedly, people, is the point I'm making here. Or maybe it was a dream. Sorry.
my dad used to have, like, there was a player that didn't have the.
You're not going to be able to say your dad from now on without me thinking.
There was a player that my dad could record on that didn't have the Macrovision. It was an early version of the beta the Betamax.
Thank you.
Then he found the same like hole with VHS. My dad was very technically minded in terms of he could open something up and figure out how it works. It's the same thing I would do. I kind of that's carried on in a sense. But from there, we developed a relationship with the guy because my dad used to rent like tons of videos. He would rent them for 2 days, copy them, get the tape back.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly, he would do it. I literally had to throw up an entire tape library out because my
Hang
dad...
on, wait, what? Did you consume it first? Because that sounds painful.
No, I threw it
I'm
out.
making a bad joke.
Like, I literally had to throw these tapes out because no one would take them. Because I can't, like, sell tapes that...
Charity shops don't take VHS anymore, do you know that?
Yeah, I know.
Which is annoying because I still have a really shit-up VHS recorder with 6 heads that actually plays American tapes, and even though, you know, I got Blu-ray and DVD and shit like that, and, well, kind of Netflix, if you know what I mean, Burhan, allegedly, I still enjoy tapes. There's something about them. There's something just
I've
fun.
still got my original Star Wars tapes, even though I'm gonna buy Mathis Blu-rays, which is the new unaltered versions that are coming out soon.
Yes, thank you, Disney. And you know, Lucas is fucking pissed about that, which is you're gonna fucking...
Is he?
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently he's not happy. He's not happy about the fact that they're gonna re-release the original cleaned up properly on Blu-ray, basically the Laserdisc cuts, but you know,
But Kim, this is what everyone asked for in
remastered.
the first
But
place.
yeah, first of all, we all asked for it. Second of all, you sold your company, mate. You can't complain now. You sold your company to Disney. What do you think was going to happen? They're a
If
shrewd.
Disney want to make money back off the thing that people actually want by paying for the original uncut version on a platform that's...
Do you remember in 2006 when before Blu-ray, after he released the original trilogy with all the redone bits, there was such a fan backlash that he said when he re-released them again, oh, Lucas, apparently you re-releasing something? That never happens, does it? He said, all right, fine, I'll give you an original cut, but I'll give you it as a bonus disc, and it'll be a version of the Laserdisc, and it won't be cleaned up or anything. Because the Laserdisc apparently is still the best version, but whatever he used to get it onto DVD looks like shit. And it outsold his, remastered trilogy, and it's why? Like you said, Kev, which is because that's what we wanted. I don't care that the Millennium Falcon can't rotate 360 degrees and look like it was made last week. I want the original version. I like the fact that there's a black square over it that's darker than the rest of space when it flies through it. It makes you the mindset of what was... I think you get some things from movies, which is... At least when I watch certain movies, and it's why Back to the Future is my favourite movie ever, which I still think the special effects are amazing and stand up really well, which is you put yourself in the mindset of what it would be to have watched it at the time. So I like the fact that Star Wars has hokey special effects in it, because I still watch it and think, if I saw this on opening night, because obviously I was 2 at the time, I think Empire was the first movie I saw, and that was on home video. But if I saw an opening night, it would have blown my mind away. And I like put myself in that mindset when I watch a movie, which is, how would I have felt if I watched this in 1977 at the age I am now?
Yeah. Well, have you ever actually watched episode 3 anytime recently, and you've watched the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan? The green screen effects are so dated, it's really horrible to watch.
I watched it last night, ironically.
But like the fight, it's so, you can see the greenness of like the
The fight is awesome, but
yeah,
the visuals
the
are quite pathetic. And there is one bit in that fight that really annoys me, which is when they're both standing on. Can I say this about sci-fi? They're both standing on the coffee table and they're spinning their lightsabers around. You know, when you do that like Conor McLeod thing and spin it around your hands, and it's clearly sped up, and you're just like, oh come on, seriously, you look like numpties right now.
Yeah. Well, when they're standing like on the robots in the lava, it's so dated, that bit.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. And from a moral perspective, the bit that annoys me, and I know it was never going to happen, and it's just the home viewer watching and thinking about something too much outside of the finished product, which is Obi-Wan. If you just killed him at the end, right? You just killed him, yeah. No Empire. At least with Vader, how many lives would you have saved? But no, you just stood there all thespian and just went, I loved you, and then left. In fact, if you were a good humanitarian, you would have killed him anyway to put him out of his misery at that point. Because he had one arm left.
I agree with you on that one. He tried fleshing out the story, but in the end, he kind of made a paradox in its own right, because he didn't explain the stuff that he was fleshing out.
Plus, Hayden was too fucking skinny when he put him in the Darth Vader suit at the end. Sorry, people. Can I even say this about that Star Wars movie? Sorry, people. Spoilers. The bit when they make him Vader at the end, although I do really like the helmet going down on him and the little escape of air that goes psst. And he stands up in that really awkward Frankenstein moment and just goes, no! You can see creases in his suit, and you're like, yeah, I'm really enjoying the Vader suit being back, but he's too skinny to be in it.
Yeah.
Well, going from that, think about it this way, guys. If people look out there and look at what
Chucks could have woodcut Chuck, if a woodcut could chuck wood.
No,
something.
If you look at the film shops themselves, it's about nostalgia. And the one thing I can say about Homeview is they beat out Blockbuster. They beat out that other one, Apollo Video, that kind of tried to be the next Blockbuster.
I used to like Book.
And he's still standing, and a lot of it is that people are loyal to his brand. He's a mom and pop shop. He's always been a mom and pop shop. He's never gone out of his spectrum. He's always stayed the same. And what I will do to kind of tailgate off of what Dave said there, one of the reasons I hated like the RoboCop movie, for instance, I didn't hate it because it was a reboot. I hated it because there was no thought.
Did everything wrong.
Well, have you seen the trailer for Point Break? That really feels like a real terrible knockoff Fast and Furious, which was
whoa, back up.
They've done a reboot of Point Break.
Oh my god.
You know what?
First of all,
acting is really bad as well. I'm not even being a knob, just saying it looks bad because it's a remake. It looks bad because it's bad.
I'm just upset that Hollywood never told me that they were rebooting a movie I was in. And second of all, I really, really like the original Point Break. I'm really annoyed at the Blu-ray version I have that is, and that you've actually bothered to reel them back and scroll right down with your eyes to the little, tiny print at the bottom. It's not even in fucking HD. It's a really bad cut, but I love Point Break. And, well, it's an oxymoron. I can't say this because Hollywood has proven us wrong time and time again, but some things are sacred. Oh, wait, no, they're not. Caught my first tube today. Sorry.
But this is the thing. When, with the Point Break advert, you can sit there and go, well, I'm going to wait and see, like, what people are doing with
Actually,
Suicide
good
Squad.
point, Burn. It comes back to what we said, which is I'm upset that I've just found out they remade it, and regardless of how good or bad, and I'll check it out after this cast, it looks in the trailer, I'll give it a chance, even though they shouldn't have made it, and second of all, because I'm in it, so they should have asked me, but I'll give it a chance. But I'm still kind of there's a million independent film producers out there who just need $1 million or $1 million and could make a brilliant movie, and they don't get a chance, and they could make the movie and it'd be massive and give you a new franchise, Hollywood. But no,
I can guarantee you, any Hollywood studio out there, if anyone listens to this podcast, any Hollywood studio out there, if you listen to this, I could probably make you a blockbuster with 150 grand.
Well, this is my point, which is give them a chance. Oh no, wait, you're sterile and boring and only interested in bankable checks, so you're doing remakes. And I think it's safe to say most, even though some are good, like Planet of the Apes by Tim Burton, some of them are good. I think the viewing public right now is like
that
quite
was rebooted
literally
twice, wasn't it? Because Planet of the Apes by Tim Burton didn't catch on. It actually failed to make a bank in the box office. So they rebooted it again.
Yet it's superior, and I don't hate the other two, but it's a superior movie to those. No, but my point is, Hollywood, give one of these people a chance. You might get your franchise instead of, and as I said, the public are bored of this right now. We're fucking remaking everything.
Totally. And this is the thing. And with Point Break, the one thing that kind of
they ever remake Back to the Future, and I will happily say this, and this is not allegedly, whoever remakes Back to the Future, I will kill you. It's that simple. I will happily go to prison for the rest of my life, but I will kill you.
He actually means that. But yeah, so going from that.
And I'll say Great Scott when I'm standing over his corpse.
Dovetailing off of that, the thing about the Point Break trailer that annoyed me was the actors. The acting was just like, I thought he was fine.
Please don't tell me, he says, I haven't seen it, people, but please don't tell me at some point in the trailer they do what they always do with remakes and play upon the individual of the characteristics of the actor in the first, not even necessarily in that movie, but what they're known for. Please don't tell me at some point in the trailer.
Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves had more personality than the two guys in this movie. Literally, they had more personality than the two guys in this movie.
Patrick Swayze has amazing hair in that movie, by the way.
And the problem is, the old Point Break film focused on story. This one focuses on stunts and effects, and you can tell.
Yeah, it's like...
So it comes to what you said, Kev, which is, I was going to say Need for Speed, never mind. Fast and the Furious, but in that movie form, which is boom, blow up, shit, shiny effects. This one scene cost us £22,000 and it's only 13 seconds long.
But that's
I do love the Fast and Furious franchise, like.
But the thing about it is, you've got actors in that with chemistry. Like, the thing is, I hate the Fast and Furious franchise, the Fast and Furious movies individually. I love the franchise as a whole. And the reason being, it tells a continuous story.
I just like it because it's got cars that go really fast.
Even though I feel that after this last one, it should have ended, but they're going to continue it,
They shouldn't, out of respect for Paul Walker.
They're still continuing it. Because it made a lot of money. Now, the thing about it is, with the Point Break trailer, it has the same things, like you have these moments where it has the jump cut scenes, and it will fade to black, and then reappear the scene, it fades to black. It's like, doom, doom, doom. And it has that fucking same sound effect. You know the one where it goes...
Yeah.
That one at the end, and you're like...
Hot Wheels, I have a phrase to describe that. I call it Hot Wheels in a wind tunnel.
Yeah, it basically seems like they've taken every single other fucking movie and they're doing trailers as copy and paste now, and it bugs me to the effect that this movie is offensive. And the reason why it's offensive is you've not understood. It's like, look, if you're going to direct a movie, if someone said to me, Michael, you've got the Transformers franchise.
What? Sorry, you said Michael. I have to say this. This is how my brain works with movie quotes. Michael, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like, hey, Mike, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the Transformers franchise. And what we want you to do is we want you to do something kind of like Michael Bay.
My American accent's better than yours.
We want to have your own substance on this. So...
I'd do it all on Cybertron.
I would take this movie and I'll sit there.
Hi, I'm Chuck Weaselberger.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Transformers, the movie, the only one amazing Transformers movie. You know, back in the 90s, the one with You Got the Touch, that one.
80s.
The 80s, apologies, with Leonard Nimoy in there as well. You know, and you've got like this amazing movie. And I would use that as the template. Then I would look at the effects from the Michael Bay movie and say, right, how can we add to this? Look at the budget, look at what I'm going to do, but I'll make sure that I've read enough of the fucking comic books. And
Yeah.
trust me, guys,
The
I'm a
content
Transformers
matter,
fan.
basically. Make
Yeah.
a movie if you're this is why I like Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which is make a movie about something that clearly you have read, appreciate, and are passionate about.
Of course.
They should remake, though. It's never going to happen. They should remake the original 1986 Transformers the movie, which I saw in the cinema. Thank you, Mum. You must have been bored out of your tits, but it was, half term, and you had to entertain 3 kids. They should remake that movie with Michael Bay's special effects.
That's the thing. I've always said like the 4th movie should have been about Unicron.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
If you and the thing
Why
is,
throw away your life so? Sorry.
I didn't have an issue with the 4th Transformers movie. I felt there was issues with it, but it had some good moments.
I haven't seen it. It's hit the £7 wall, Asda. So shall I buy it?
I went to cinema to watch it twice. Believe it or not.
Please say at least Grimlock goes, me Grimlock.
No, he doesn't. It's
Fuck's
literally one
sake.
of those things where
Me
we
kid.
actually, when I went to see it with a friend of mine, we attributed the movie to slave labor because there's a bit where Prime's beating up Grimlock and going, "You either will fight with me, or you will die," and he's like beating the living shit, and he's like,
When
"I
he
am
was doing
trying-"
it was Dixieland playing in the background.
Yeah, he was beating the shit out of him, and he was like, "I am trying to free you," and I'm like, "You're fucking making the thing fight
You're
for
freeing
you."
my teeth from my jaw.
It's literally attributed to slave labor. It was hilarious. But the thing about the movie was there was some good voice acting in it.
Megatron?
There was
Here's
some,
a hint. Sorry.
there were some good actors in there as well. Mark Wahlberg was the better choice.
I like
in
Mark
terms of the
Wahlberg.
lead. Yeah,
He's a
he
good
was-
actor.
I
He was
love Mark Wahlberg and more stuff like.
I like him in Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch.
He was basically a
Bit
better lead than
vibration.
Shia LaBeouf, right? He was a better lead than Shia LaBeouf. So
Yeah,
I can
but
see.
dude, I could take, and I know I went in this big spiel about saying taste is subjective, but I could take a dookie in the toilet, not flush it, and get someone from Hollywood to come in and just go, rate this over Shia LaBeouf's acting. Actually, Dave, that's a pretty good actor right there.
But I'm just saying, in the end, right?
There could be only one.
I could
Sorry.
see what they were trying to do, but I honestly believe,
You honestly.
honestly believe that whoever takes on the Transformers franchise needs to actually do their research. And when it comes to anybody
Remake
else,
86,
if you're
seriously,
gonna-
remake the 86 movie in live action, but make it scene for scene, it'd be fucking amazing. That's a remake I would pay to see.
And also the thing is, I would like to see, in my opinion, if you want to do another movie, I would start working on movies based on the Marvel Comics Transformers Generation 2
No, I say UK Transformers
and
from
the
the 80s.
later Transformers comics as well. And the reason being is there are some fucked up stories in those comic books. Like there's one where Megatron and Galvatron end up going through time, decimating everyone.
Time Wars.
Yes.
Yeah, and they kill every. They're attempted to kill every Transformer. I've got that in graphic novel. That's a
And
UK Transformers story.
Hang,
Yeah.
They hang fucking Rodimus Prime from 2 buildings. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
You got that great scene where Galvatron gets confused because obviously he's fighting alongside Megatron, so this is actually stuff that had happened in his past, but he's circumvented the timeline, so it hasn't actually happened yet. And he gets really confused, and he sees someone aiming a sniper rifle, like a big fat fucking Transformer sniper rifle, at Megatron's head. And he goes like, I don't remember this happening. No, wait, he's going to kill me. So he pushes him out of the way, and he gets half his face shot off. Amazing.
Yeah, it's literally an amazing and epic story. And if you want to do something that's kind of has that essence of storytelling to it as well, and takes the focus away from the cut and dry, all
Shiny
spark,
special effects.
all spark bollocks that you've been doing for like 4
Just
different
call it the
movies.
fucking Matrix, and then make it the Matrix, not fucking Rubik's Cube.
In my opinion, that's the way to go. Go in those routes, do your research. I don't understand how research has become an offending term in the film industry now.
Because
Like-
blokes in suits or lovies preaching or marketing a movie to their boss just see dollar signs in their eyes and have no one. The kids like this, or the kids like this, so therefore it's bankable. They
that
liked,
takes us
like
to
you said, but like they liked it for a reason. Why don't you stick your head in a comic book for fucking 12 hours and at least get some understanding of why they fucking liked it?
Well, this takes us
Yeah.
to a final caveat of the show. You know, the kind of the end,
Caviar.
the caveat,
I was just
the
going to say because
very-
I don't like fish eggs. Sorry.
it's basically the climax in a sense, if you know you want to use a porn term. The
Can we all smoke a fag afterwards?
Yes. The thing about this is I want to quickly talk about now how the game industry and the film industry, and I'm going to do a video on this soon as well because I wanted to talk about it. I was having this discussion with someone recently, how I believe it's all going to change and it's all going to go into a Kickstarter model. And what I mean
Yeah.
is you've got the bigger companies and the bigger industries are going to be looking to, say, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, funding platforms to get completed versions of games. I really see this is gonna be happening. It looks as though
I think this is a good thing though,
Yeah.
because
it means the little guy gets a voice once again.
Well, I've pre-ordered. What's it? Bloodstain Ritual. The guy who did Castlevania.
Iga has that gone to 3 million yet? Because apparently if it hits 3 million, he's
Uh,
doing a Wii U
about-
version.
Ooh, sexy.
I've pre-ordered the $100 one, which comes with the physical disc. Like,
And good man for supporting independence, by the way, may I say, Kev.
well, have you seen the box art for the game itself? If you walked past it in a shop, it's phenomenal looking. It's beautiful. Just the box art for the game alone.
Look it up now. Hang on.
I'll send you a link.
The thing about it as well is with studios like Konami and Capcom switching over to digital, mobile, and PC,
Downsizing. I think the elephant in the room with Konami and Capcom right now is, I think it's safe to say, whether they say this is in the interest of our own company, it's no, you're downsizing people.
there's a reason for this, Dave. There's a reason why they're downsizing. People don't understand that Capcom and Konami are Japanese companies. So what do? They look at Japanese trends, and in Japan, people.
But that's the worst country to look at trends for, because it's. I'm not having a pop at Japan. I'm just saying, if you look at their culture, it's so fickle. It goes. If you look at trends in this country, in Europe, North America, Oceania, they have a longer expectancy of life before they flip back. Japan's life cycle of their trends is so immediate that it's foolhardy to base your company's profits on that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? If you think about it.
By the way,
though,
Kev, I think that picture's so good it gives me wood.
if you think about it though, Dave, that's the reason why these companies are transitioning. People don't understand that, oh, fuck you, Konami, and fuck you, Capcom, and all this and that stuff. But at the end, this is the market they're basing themselves on. Is it a good idea, as Dave's put it out? No, because the gaming trends, the amount of people purchasing now are coming from the UK and the United States. Basically, the rest of the world are spending
It's coming
more-
full circle if you think about it.
The rest of the world are spending more on their console habits than Japan is. Japan is migrating over to PC and
Well,
mobile.
that's my point, though, which is I guarantee, in 2 years, their market won't be in the same place. So it's happening right now. We have to go over to mobile. Bollocks! I guarantee you, Konami and Capcom, and if you can hear this podcast, I guarantee you, if you scrape together what little funds you have left, because you're both fucked right now, and make either. Or release I am ignoring politics. Release a proper Metal Gear game, or a proper, fully realized old school Resident Evil game, and I mean old school Resident Evil game. You'll rake it in. So
Well, that's what they've done. They made 1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million. They sold over 1 million copies digitally of Resident Evil for Steam and on the PlayStation platforms.
So it proves that their market that they're ignoring is still fucking there.
Agreed, and Capcom's kind of coming out of that now and looking at it and said, okay.
I only found out 2 weeks ago, and this is embarrassing, but I have to say, I only found out 2 weeks ago that Capcom's named after NASA.
The thing is, right, I can see what they're doing and why they've transitioned into that, because I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't agree with it, so please don't start calling me an asshole and stuff.
Taste is subjective, people.
But the thing is, I can see a way around it, and I can see how this is happening, that they're going to be looking at this So say if they look at an IP and say, okay, you want an next big Metal Gear Solid, what you have to do is you've got to invest in it. So we're going to basically open
If
up
I
this
eat lots of
Kickstarter.
tin foil and take a dump, can I say that's my Metal Gear Solid? So it's funny in my head.
What I'm saying is, if they're going to like, you want another Metal Gear Solid game, we'll make the game, but we have to hit this target. And
Yeah,
if you're going to get a physical copy, then we've got to hit
Oh,
this
so what you're
target.
saying is you basically, well, I got that the first time, but let me vocalize it in my mouth, not my head. The big company's going to look to crowdfunding as a viable alternative, to not just raising the funds, but basically market research and testing the water on the products they should make.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they should do the same thing as like the indie people. Pretty much, if you have faith in the product, you back it, and throughout the time of its process, you should be able to get given like betas and alphas, so
Yeah.
you have a general feel of what the game's like.
And get that two-way back and forth between your community and the producers. So when you finally get the product, it's
not
ultimately what the
buggy.
fans want and not what you think they want and shove down their throats and charge them £49 for.
Thing is, though, it's gonna take a longer time for them to make these games, which is fine. I think fans are gonna sacrifice that in order to get the games they want. So if you want a game, we're gonna be a lot more part of the process. I also see this happening to film. If studios want a major motion picture finance, they're not going to go to producers. You know where they're going to go to? Us.
Which is good, because then hopefully we stop getting these remakes and the independent guy gets to shine with this project he's had in his head for years that he's never been afforded the luxury of making, that is, quite frankly, probably going to be better than all the tat Hollywood puts out anyway.
That's pretty much it. And going on from that, guys, what do you think? Do you think that this is going to be an inevitable kind of part of the industry, that Kickstarter is going to become more and more prevalent? Or do you disagree with us and feel that the big companies are going to die out and we're going to have new companies taking their place? Let us know, because I know, we've...
And remember, taste may be subjective, but don't disagree with us, because I'm Unicron.
Go on, Kev.
I think it'll be both, or a mix of like all of them put together. At the minute in time, for every medium almost, everyone's spoiled for choice. And I think, end of the day, it comes down to listening to what your audience wants and realizing what's the best you can do for your audience instead of what you believe the audience wants in the first place. It's a different day and age where everyone has a voice online, and mostly good polls will decide what people actually want. Like, for Bloodstained Ritual, the $3 million goal is a Wii U port, which is what people ask for. Is like, oh, we'll only see that it's coming out on the PS4 and the Xbox One, and they've listened and they've put that as a stretch goal. Instant
you could say feedback. It's interesting, but Kickstarter, the more it becomes prevalent and powerful, and I'm not saying it's not powerful now, but it's going to grow, and touching upon what Burhan said, but you could say it's almost a restraining order for the arrogant way that modern producers make stuff, which is now you're forced to listen to your fans because they have real power. So now it's not you, a bloke in a suit, dictating what you want, not knowing the subject matter, because if you go through this route, your fans will tell you exactly what they want from a product. So, win-win, I say.
Well, looking at this, it's at 2.8 million at the moment. So basically, we're so close to the 3 million search goal with 15 days to go in order to get a Wii U copy. I really, really do hope that the Wii
I'm
U
going to
copy...
pledge. Just simply because I need a new Wii U game to buy, but...
Yeah, I got my
it might
number
take
9
2
as my
years
Wii
for
U
the
copy
game
as
to come
well.
out, but it looks like something out of the ordinary, which will be probably a phenomenal game because of the history and the people who are actually making it. They're getting David Hayter to do some of the voices, and he got a slap in the face over Metal Gear 5 not being part of that, and they went for
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
How do you take the most iconic voice in video game voice acting ever and just go, now we're going with this bloke? He's fucking David Hayter.
Yeah, he wrote X-Men 1 and 2, I'm sure. Like the screenplay.
And he's also basically the actor
I'm
who
pretty
played the
sure
Guyver
Kiefer
in the
Sutherland
Garth
cannot,
Dark Hero.
anywhere in his heart, say anywhere near as close the words Metal Gear like David Hayter. I mean, what's the Kiefer Sutherland say? Just like, oh, it's an episode 24. David Hayter would just go, it's Metal Gear. Oh, how did you get rid of such an iconic voice? Oh, I'm really angry
And
now.
also the fact David Hayter used to be the Guyver. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, and he has awesome hair in real life.
There
I
was
used
a
to
movie that
shave it
came
off lately.
out, which was called The Guyver in the United States and Japan, and over here was named Neutronics. He was basically alongside Mark Hamill, and the Nostalgia Critic never actually acknowledges the fact that the actor in The Guyver is actually David Hayter.
No, I was quite surprised about that actually, because and I still like the Nostalgia Critic, but yeah, I was quite surprised about that because you're boned up on your facts and you missed that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Although I still think he's best for bum reviews.
So anyway, guys, make sure that if you still haven't donated yet to this project, please do. I want a Wii U copy. I
Me
want to
too,
donate
because I don't own any next generation consoles apart from the Wii U. So just make this a game, please.
Exactly.
I think I'll buy it for the Wii U when it comes out if it's on a physical plane for the Wii U. But I've definitely already bought.
Be physical, please. Be physical.
I've already bought the $100 one, which is about 60-something pound.
I want a copy of this game, but I can't basically pledge because I'm broke. So
the quote Austin Powers, I want a solid gold toilet, but it's just not on the cards, is it, Basil?
Pretty much. Hopefully, it does reach its 3 million stretch goal because
it's a bit nutty. Sorry.
So going on from that, guys. Basically, where can we find you, Dave? Where can we find you?
You can find me protecting the baby Jeebus. Never mind. No, you can find me at Lawnboys Post 1975. You like your retro games, your vlogs and shit and stuff like that. And just a good, honest chat. Chewing the cud, if you will. Come and find me. Plus, I'd like you to check out my latest video. I self-promoted. I've never self-promoted. Because I talk about how important a part of and how much I miss video rental stores. Oh, and you can find me on Slamcast.
Also myself, you find me on Slamcast, guys. I can talk about a few little experiences. I'm also going to talk about the fact that I bumped into my old mentor, Alex Shane, at MCM. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Did he say kneel before the Empire?
No, he didn't. It was like we hadn't talked to each other for like 15 years. He gave me his card and just like, keep in contact. So we're friends on Facebook now.
I like to think that then he looked left to an open window and just went, "Your fleet are lost." Sorry.
Star Wars coat.
Yeah, I'm going at myself.
Kev, where can we find you?
YouTube, Facebook, and these days probably, I'd say Retro and Limb.
And down the pub is a bloke you would really like to have a pint with. I know I do.
We'll leave his stuff at the bottom of the box there, so make sure you subscribe.
Doohickey, Burhan. It's called a doohickey.
Kev is amazing. If you haven't checked out his channel, please do. He does some great work as well.
His Perla Beach shit is fucking the dog's bollocks. It's not literally fucking the dog's bollocks, but it's...
I have a new video coming out next week, Amiibo related.
Nice.
And, going on from that, guys, you can find me. I've opened up a new page on Facebook. I know I've got tons of them. Go to facebook.com, Michael Burhan Actor. Yes, if you go on there, it's an actor-director page.
You'll recognise him because he's the bloke in the thumbnail that looks like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I've got 173 likes so far.
That's alright.
I'm trying to get to 1K.
Hang on, wait, shut up, man. Hang on, Kev. You said alright. Aren't you supposed to say alright?
Alright. That's the same thing, man.
No, but that's your catchphrase. Alright? Sorry.
So
I'll shut up now and
guys,
stand in the corner.
Any interviews I do, like directing work, acting work, and or everything like that, it's going to be on that page. I'm not going to be putting on my personal Facebook page anymore, just due to the fact that every time I put something on there, somebody else manages to put something else on my page, or something else gets put on my page, to the fact that anything that I put out doesn't get seen. So I think it's the best way to do things. I'm also,
I got that problem too. Cough boot well. Sorry.
I'm trying to also do something very positive for myself because I'm applying for my visa to go to LA. That's the plan here. I might as well announce this on the fucking show because it's probably the best place to talk about it. In MCM, the MCM Comic Con in London is actually going to be my last UK Comic Con. The reason being is my goal is to always to basically do what's best for my career as an actor, as a director, as a writer. In the UK, things have gotten extremely difficult in terms of industry. You know, if you're an actor working in industry, you know what I'm talking about. If you're a writer or director, you know what I'm talking about. You know, past with the fact that BBC Three is being eliminated.
That fucking guts me. Yeah. Ugh.
It was a good job.
The fact that the BBC have
I won't be able to watch Bluestone 42 anymore.
any new
What
writing,
about Don't Tell the Bride? I still need to be on that show someday.
any new writing, any new productions, any new scripted drama.
What was that zombie show they did? I really enjoyed. I can never remember the name.
It's very hard for anybody in terms of a new kind of writers to actually get involved with the BBC, because now, and I'm going to let out a trade industry secret here, if you've got a production company, you need to have at least 100 grand in the bank to even sit down and have a meeting with the BBC.
I got a chance then. Sorry.
You got 100 grand in the bank, Dave.
Yeah, I'm going to make the new Top Gear.
So you know,
CG,
that's the thing. There are other options, but in the end, that is what it is. So my goal is to kind of make my way over to LA, and in order to do that, I've got to establish myself as a credible actor.
I would like to say something about LA based upon my experiences, which is you can't drive Burhan. The movies lie about LA. Everything is so far apart.
I do have a bike, Dave.
Dude, we're talking like 50 miles apart. You can't just go down the road unless you happily live in a little complex where they have like a 24/7. You can't just go down the road and buy shit. You have to get on the fucking freeway. I hate saying that phrase. Motorway. And drive for ages just to get anywhere. LA in the movies is a lie.
Well, saying that, you know, that's kind of one of the goals. There or New York at the moment is kind of where I'm looking at. Now, because of the fact, they're basically, I'm saying this to each and every one of you who listens to the show. How can you help? There's an easy way of doing it. Go to my Facebook page.
Buy him some new tires for his bike because he's going to wear them out if he's going to use that in LA. Sorry.
Michael Burhan Actor. If you go to my Facebook.com, Michael Burhan Actor, subscribe to my YouTube channel, of course, as well. Check out all my other stuff and make sure that you basically, you know, keep in touch. And if you like what I do, you know, then
that's back at you, by the way, mate. Stay in touch. Just remember.
But that's the goal, because I've given myself 2 more months here in the United Kingdom, because at the moment, this is the thing about me, I don't like being in a position where I'm helpless. And currently, I'm helpless.
No one likes being raped, Burhan. It's not just you.
But I'm sure.
Oh my god, I stole your shtick.
You did. So,
should have saved it for Slamcast.
I'm not going to go too much into my situation and what's happened. All I'm going to say is I'm currently jobless. I'm currently homeless. And I'm trying to sort my situation out. The only way I can do it is I'm giving myself a couple of months. I'm working very hard on my acting and directing career, and, you know, dedicating myself full time. I'm not making money off of YouTube. I don't intend to. I don't make money off my interviews. So make sure that you share my stuff, you comment on my stuff, you like my stuff, you go onto my Facebook page and, you know, find out more about me there. You help me fund my projects when those projects happen, of course, as well. And just, you know, just take a common interest in what I'm doing. I do have a lot of people who say to me, we hope that you succeed, and I really hope that those same people actually, you know, help push me into the direction I need to be in. So one of the starters I'm doing is going for my 0-1 visa, which is a freelance visa, so it allows me to work in the United States as a freelancer with like I can go to companies, pitch projects, and work with them, and it's a lot of it over there is kind of easier access. You know, I can go to a network, I can pitch a project, and I can push for that project to be made. Over here, the doors are kind of closing, and it's leaving us with nothing. I've had actors saying they're going to go back home to, you know, wherever they're located because they're literally all but giving up over here. Yeah,
I heard that
and
they're all
it's a
located
shame.
in Wales.
And it's a shame. And it, you know, the fact is, I know people are like it's a flourishing industry in the United Kingdom. It is, but it isn't. You know, we've got a lot of actors going to LA now. I need to. Am I asking you guys to fund that? No, I'm not. All
But
I'm
buy
asking
some
is
bike
to stick by
tires.
me.
He will need them.
All I'm asking is to stick by me. The other thing that I'm looking at doing, if things don't come to fruition, is actually touring Europe for a bit. You know, I'm going to get on my bike, go cycling, live in a tent for a little while, and just go around Europe and see how everyone else lives. You know, see how that works out. But there you go, guys. And now for Kev here, for Dave. This is Michael Burhan for Burhan the Boy saying it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from him. See you soon.